Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty significant in conservation circles. The National Tiger Conservation Authority, the NTCA, has just clarified its position on tiger corridors. And it's a big deal because they're saying only the 32 corridors mapped back in 2014 will get official recognition now. If you're tracking environment policy, especially for exams, this is definitely need-to-know stuff. So our mission today, let's quickly unpack what tiger corridors actually are, why they matter so much for tigers, what laws protect them, and crucially, how they're defined now. We'll give you the core info you need, drawing straight from the official documents. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely. First off, what is a tiger corridor? Think of them simply as natural pathways, like wildlife highways. They link up different tiger habitats, different reserves that have become fragmented over time.
So they connect the dots on the map for tigers.
Exactly. They allow tigers to move safely between these areas. And that's not just about convenience.
Right, there's a deeper ecological reason, isn't there? Something about genetics.
Precisely. The main purpose is enabling gene flow between different tiger populations. This is absolutely critical to prevent inbreeding and maintain genetic diversity. Keeps the gene pool healthy.
So it stops populations getting isolated and, well, potentially weaker over time.
That's the core of it. Isolation is a major threat. Corridors also help with finding prey and, importantly, reducing conflict with humans by guiding tigers along safer routes.
And this isn't just a nice idea, it's backed by law.
Oh, yes. There's a strong legal framework. The Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 is key here. Any development project near a corridor needs statutory clearance. It has to go through the Standing Committee of the National Board for Wildlife, the SCNBWL.
Okay, so there's a specific gatekeeper.
Definitely. And Section 3801G of the Act is quite specific. It essentially says these linking areas shouldn't be diverted for uses that harm the ecology, unless it's absolutely in the public interest, and even then, it needs NBWL approval based on what the NTCA advises.
And there's more in the Act about planning, too.
Yes, Section 38V3. This mandates that the Tiger Conservation Plan, the TCPs for each reserve, must ensure land use in these connecting areas is ecologically compatible. It's about balancing local needs, like livelihoods, with providing safe passage for tigers, especially those dispersing from core areas.
And this links back to those 32 corridors identified in 2014.
That's right. That 2014 NTCA WII report connecting tiger populations mapped those 32 corridors. Their management is meant to be handled through these TCPs.
So with this new NTCA clarification focusing only on those 32, how does an area get classified as a corridor now? What are the benchmarks?
Well, the Bombay High Court actually laid out some specific criteria, which are now quite central. First, protected areas currently occupied by tigers, obviously fundamental. Second, those least cost pathways identified in the 2014 study. These are basically the routes scientists figured are easiest and safest for tigers to travel.
Okay, so existing tiger presence and scientifically modeled routes. What else?
Also, corridors that are specifically marked in the individual tiger conservation plans of the reserves. Plus, corridors identified in 2 specific Wildlife Institute of India studies, focusing on the Vidarbha landscape from 2016 and 2021. And finally, the overall distribution of tigers, as shown by the big 4-yearly all-India tiger estimations.
That sounds pretty comprehensive, a multi-layered approach.
It aims to be, yes, combining direct evidence, planning documents, and scientific studies.
And overseeing all this is the NTCA itself. Just briefly, what's their main role?
Right, the NTCA. Set up in 2005, got statutory powers in 2006 under the Wildlife Act. It operates under the Environment Ministry. Its job is basically to strengthen tiger conservation across the board. It approves the state tiger conservation plans, monitors reserves, sets guidelines for protection, for ecotourism, everything.
It's the main authority then, chaired by the Environment Minister.
Yes, with the Minister of State as vice chair, plus experts and state reps. They recommend actions against poaching, habitat loss, all major threats.
Okay, so let's get practical. If an area is one of these 32 designated corridors, what does that mean on the ground? What's banned, what's allowed, but restricted?
The restrictions are quite strict. There's a flat ban on changing the land use, so no converting forests or wetlands. Big projects are out. Think large-scale mining, quarrying, major hydro projects, big dams. No new settlements either.
So pretty tight controls, but not a total freeze on everything.
Not a total freeze, but highly regulated. Linear projects like roads, railways, power lines can potentially go through, but they require serious mitigation measures. We're talking about wildlife underpasses, overpasses, things designed specifically to let animals cross safely.
Right, engineering solutions. What about industry or tourism?
Hazardous or polluting industries are a no-go. For tourism, it has to be ecotourism that follows NTCA guidelines strictly. No large resorts, no unregulated stuff. Even things like grazing or collecting firewood are regulated to minimize pressure on the habitat.
And diverting forest land.
That's a big one. Forest land within these corridors cannot be diverted for non-forestry use without very strict clearance under the Forest Conservation Act, 1980.
Okay. So pulling this all together, what's the main takeaway from this NTCA clarification?
Well, it seems to be about providing a much sharper focus. By confirming only these 32 scientifically identified corridors, it gives a clearer, perhaps more manageable list for targeted protection efforts.
A clear roadmap? Maybe. But it also highlights that constant tension, doesn't it? Balancing development pressures with the absolute need for long-term conservation.
Absolutely. And that leads to a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. How might this very defined, quite restricted list of corridors affect conservation strategies going forward? Especially thinking about challenges like climate change or shifting land use patterns. Does this specific approach create new challenges or perhaps new opportunities for protecting India's national animal? Something to definitely think about.